Now, before we get started with today's video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and let's get on with it. The bane of all that is balance, Surge spell. Yes, this spell has honestly been a pain in the ass ever since it was implemented into Arcane Odyssey. It's been such a hassle just to deal with in terms of balancing for so long. Initially, when this spell was added in testing, it had knockback, dot stacking, dot refreshing, insane range, crazy AoE, and even more insane damage. I kid you not, it used to tick almost upwards to 40 to 100 damage per hit. Hopefully now, a lot of those changes have been backpedaled on and kind of reduced, such as knockback being outright removed from Surge, unless of course you're playing Wind. The damage being heavily reduced, now only ticking usually between 15 damage to 20 damage, at least at our current level. But nonetheless, the balance team has tried to balance this spell to be usable across all skill levels. Unfortunately though, this just can't be done because Surge at the end of the day is a brain dead skill that will never be skill based in any way, shape, or form. Again, it's literally a giant AoE that constantly deals damage. There is literally nothing skill-based about that idea to begin with, so why even try to make it skill-based? So we can do as a community is, embrace the strengths that Surge has and at least give it some flaws in terms of when it's used, right? You shouldn't be using it outright in person's faces, because at that point, it just becomes a glorified melee skill. As you guys can take a look at my channel right now, you can see that I haven't uploaded in about a month, and that means I haven't been active in about a month in terms of Arcane Odyssey balancing. Generally, I only stop to see things from time to time, not really looking into any of the changes that got added within that time. Now, within that time, as the head of the balance team, there have been changes I don't necessarily agree with, such as Surge receiving grab immunity. I don't know when that happened, how it happened, and how it, got agreed upon. Now, usually when I am active and I see changes like this, I like to give my piece of info on it, and it usually gets mitigated then on. But this time I wasn't around to voice my opinion, so of course the change was just passed on as raw. Now, I'm not saying that all these changes have to go through me and be approved by me before they get added onto the balance document, but there's some things that obviously just shouldn't be passed or even tried because it can end up being horribly wrong to begin with. The change I'm talking about is giving Surge grab immunity. So yes, on top of all the other stuff that Surge has, such as status effect refreshing, status effect stacking, as well as having damage reduction, and now the most insane feature to be added to Surge, grab immunity. In my opinion, this has to be the worst implementation of grab immunity I've ever seen done in Arcane Odyssey. Literally, if you're doing Surge and you get grabbed, the Surge just keeps on going. And yes, this is intended. This is not something that is a bug. It is fully intended, which is extremely bizarre to me because when this was in testing, I swear to God, one of them had to have seen this and went like, okay, maybe this is a problem and we should address this ASAP. But no, it seems like the addition was just added straight in with no real testing, or maybe they didn't think it was an issue to begin with. But hey, I'm back now, and I think we should address the problem together. Now, if you are in the Arcane Odyssey Balance Discord server, you may have noticed that I put up 2 polls regarding Surge. First poll being, is Surge overtuned? With a lot of people saying yes, up to 63% of the voters said yes, Surge is overtuned, while 37% said no. Now, I asked them why it was overtuned. A lot of the agreements have been that Surge has a lot of DPS, it has crazy effective range, as well as having insane super armor, which allows them to pretty much just use the move at anywhere, anytime as they please, since it cannot be canceled. You have to play defensive against a Surge. The second poll I did was to ask people what direction do they want to see Surge taken, and I gave 2 options, as I feel like these are the 2 options that Surge represented before and after the changes. First option being ranged DPS, second option being the get off me tool. Surge is right now, it is a get off me tool, but it is also a DPS tool. So I feel like splitting the decision between the two would be fair. Being said, a lot of the voters agreed that Surge should be a get off me tool. Now, what this tells me is that Surge should probably lose a lot of his DPS capabilities. Now, what this tells me is that Surge should probably receive some damage nerfs, some sort of damage nerf, whether that be fall off damage or just flat damage reduction, something of the sorts. Now, another thing this tells me is that Surge needs to be counterable, because if it is a get off me tool, it's going to need to have a way to counteract the get off me tool. And there's multiple ways to go about this. Right now, currently we have grab immunity, complete grab immunity. Now, proposed changes that I might be going forward with is maybe grab immunity for the first 3 or 4 seconds, so you're not a glorified turret while casting Surge. Another option would be applying grab immunity after the first 5 seconds, so that if you are casting Surge in front of people's faces, then the grab immunity only kicks in if you're playing safe, which makes you unpunishable for a higher duration. Especially if you have good positioning, this is where the skill could come into play with Surge if we were to go that approach. Now, I have talked to the other balance team members about what direction they would like to see Surge taken, and it's looking like we are going to go for a less PS heavy flamethrower skill, and we are doing the get off me tool approach that the community was asking for. Now, me myself, I don't feel right pushing the range DPS agenda as much as I would, because honestly, I do think Surge was built with that in mind. If the community feels like that Surge should be a get off me tool, then I'm, willing to side with them, as I feel like that is the right thing to do. Now, there's also other things that I'd want to personally address. And this is more towards the people who sit in the balance server and don't expect to get pings. If you are in the balance Discord server or any of my servers, expect to get fucking pinged, bro. You are there for immediate feedback as well as decision making. If you are there to show up, okay? When I ping, you show up. As soon as you join the server, you already forfeited your life to me, okay? Now, jokes aside though, if you are on the server, I do expect you to, participate, so that's why I do the pings. Whether that be in the forms of polls, discussion, feedback, or joining my live streams, I'm going to ping you guys, so if you don't like that, then I suggest you either mute the channels, mute the tags for everyone, mute whatever you need to mute so you're not getting the pings, or just outright leave the server, because you shouldn't be there if you're not going to actively participate in every discussion I ping for, or any live stream I ping for, or any poll I ping for, because again, I want immediate feedback when I'm doing those pings, so if I ping, you better be there. If not, then just ignore it. That being said, this wasn't always the case. Beforehand, there was 2 balance servers before this, or I think 1. I used to ping everyone in that server and it was completely fine. No one really cared. It's more so been a recent issue just because people like to bandwagon hate on people. I don't know what's that all about, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, I don't really care, and I expect you guys to show up because I like to have immediate feedback when I'm doing discussions. Would you rather have someone be there as they're doing things with you, or would you rather that you get ignored outright completely? So it's really just a choice in the matter. But anyways, guys, if you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe, and peace.